A maid cleaning a junkyard makes a horrifying discovery. A millionaire and his daughter, bound and gagged in a car trunk. What happens next will change everything. Before continuing, write in the comments where you are listening from. And at the end, I would like to know your opinion on the outcome of the story. Ethan, a driven millionaire, found himself consumed by his work empire after his wife's death, channeling his grief into relentless ambition. He built an imposing financial fortress, yet his success came at a cost, leaving precious little time for his 6-year-old daughter, Chloe. His days blurred into endless meetings and reports, a constant effort to control a world he increasingly felt slipping away. "Daddy, are we going to the park today?" Chloe asked one morning, her voice small and hopeful, pulling at his sleeve as he reviewed complex financial reports. She watched him with innocent, trusting eyes, clinging to a fading promise. Ethan, his mind still on market fluctuations, offered a vague, distracted reply. "Maybe later, sweetie." Ethan, deeply engrossed in his phone, remained oblivious to the subtle, insidious problems brewing beneath his company's seemingly stable surface. A silent enemy meticulously orchestrated these issues, chipping away at his foundation. He saw only minor disruptions, failing to connect them to a larger, more sinister plot unfolding around him. "Marcus, ensure all our offshore assets are absolutely secure. We cannot afford any vulnerabilities right now," Ethan instructed his head of security over a private call, his voice tight with an unspoken premonition. He tightened his grip on the phone, unaware that the true threat was circling much closer than any financial market. Desperate for a rare, unplanned moment of connection with Chloe, Ethan made an impulsive decision. He would take her with him to what he believed was an urgent but brief business meeting. "It won't take long, Pumpkin," he promised, hoping to redeem a small part of their lost time, a fleeting attempt at normalcy. "Look, Daddy, a blue butterfly," Chloe exclaimed excitedly, pointing from the car window as they drove, her small face alight with wonder. A fleeting, genuine smile finally graced Ethan's lips amidst his rising anxiety about the enigmatic meeting, a stark contrast to his usual stoic demeanor. The meeting location, an old, desolate junkyard, struck Ethan as profoundly odd and unprofessional. Yet, the fabricated urgency of the situation, carefully manufactured by Julian, pushed him to ignore his growing unease. He stepped out of the car, Chloe nervously clutching his hand, a sense of foreboding settling over him. A cold, silent man, Victor, met them at the entrance. "Mr. Thorne is waiting for you in the vehicle. Please follow me," he grunted, his eyes devoid of any warmth, his demeanor unsettling. He gestured towards a particularly dilapidated car, its trunk slightly ajar, a silent invitation into danger. As Ethan approached the desolate car, a sudden, brutal force erupted from within, overwhelming him from behind. He felt Chloe's terrified scream, sharp and piercing, followed by a sickening, muffled silence, as a heavy blow consumed them both, plunging their world into an instant, suffocating darkness. Hours later, a maid, Catalina, performing her routine cleaning duties in the junkyard, makes a horrifying discovery. A man and his daughter, bound and gagged in a car trunk. Before continuing, if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any stories. Catalina, seeing the scene, felt a sudden wave of paralyzing fear, a chill creeping through her bones. Yet her strong faith, a quiet but potent force, quickly fueled her courage, compelling her to act without a moment's hesitation, pushing aside her terror for the sake of the innocent. She quickly moved towards the rusted car trunk, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for Chloe's restraints. "It's okay, little one," she spoke softly, her voice a gentle murmur in the silence of the junkyard, carefully trying to loosen the child's tight bonds. Chloe whimpered, her eyes wide with unadulterated terror. Chloe, once freed from the rough ropes, immediately clung to Catalina, burying her face deeply into the maid's uniform. Her small body shook with residual terror. Then she lifted her head, looking at her father with wide, scared eyes that held a profound, unspoken fear, clinging to the only comfort she found. "It's okay, little one. We will get your daddy out now, don't worry," Catalina whispered, her hands already working with urgency on Ethan's more complex restraints. What unspeakable horror had Chloe witnessed in that dark trunk to cause such a deep, enduring fright in her innocent eyes? Ethan's ropes proved much thicker and more intricately tied, frustrating Catalina's urgent efforts. His muffled grunts and frantic struggles within the confined space made her task even more challenging, adding a layer of desperate urgency to her already strained movements as she fought against the stubborn knots. Suddenly, Gary, the gruff junkyard manager, appeared nearby, drawn by the unusual commotion and the sight of a young woman near the abandoned car. His presence, though unexpected, brought a flicker of hope to Catalina's desperate struggle. Gary, initially gruff and visibly skeptical of the scene before him, quickly understood the dire gravity of the situation. Shedding his usual cynical demeanor, he swiftly joined Catalina, using his considerable strength to help free the bound man, his weathered hands working with surprising gentleness on the tight ropes. Finally untied, Ethan gasped deeply for air, pulling Chloe into a fierce, protective embrace. His first words were a mix of profound gratitude to Catalina and urgent, desperate questions about their unknown captors, his voice raw with emotion and lingering terror. "Thank you. Who did this to us?" Soon after, Detective Davis arrived, his initial skepticism giving way to grim determination as he meticulously surveyed the brutal scene inside the car trunk. "Who would do something like this?" he muttered to himself, baffled by the sheer cruelty displayed before him, already sensing a deeper, more personal motive. As Ethan was carefully helped into the waiting ambulance, his gaze fell upon a subtle, almost hidden symbol etched into the car's rusty interior. It was a cold, familiar mark that instantly ignited a chilling realization, igniting a fresh wave of dread. What dark past enemy had returned with such calculated vengeance? And why did that symbol fill Ethan with such deep, primal terror? Ethan and Chloe rested in the sterile hospital room, the day's terror etched on their faces. Chloe still trembled, a fragile bird seeking refuge, clinging tightly to Catalina. Her small hand clutched the maid's uniform, finding an unexpected comfort that Ethan couldn't yet provide. Catalina held her gently, a silent anchor in their storm of fear. "Thank you, Catalina," Ethan finally managed to say, his voice raw with a mix of gratitude and exhaustion, his eyes never leaving Chloe. He noticed the quiet strength in her eyes, a calm he desperately needed. More importantly, he saw the miraculous way Chloe instantly calmed in her arms, a stark contrast to her earlier distress. Ethan then shared the chilling detail with Detective Davis, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "The symbol in the car trunk, Detective, it belonged to Julian, my father's former business partner. He vanished years ago after a bitter dispute with my father, presumed dead." A cold dread settled over the room as he spoke the name. Detective Davis raised an eyebrow, his expression overtly skeptical. "Julian? That's a legend, Mr. Thorne," he stated, his tone unconvinced. "No one has seen or heard from him in 15 years. He has been off the grid completely." The detective's disbelief was a stark reminder of Julian's elusive nature. As her shift ended, Catalina gently disentangled herself from Chloe, offering a comforting smile. Her presence had brought a fleeting peace. "I hope you both recover quickly, and may God bless your healing," she said softly, then quietly slipped away from the hospital room, leaving a lingering warmth. Ethan, though utterly exhausted, immediately called Marcus, his head of security. His voice, despite his weariness, was firm and unwavering. "I need you to find every piece of information on Julian, everything, discreetly." What intricate web of lies, carefully spun over years, would Marcus now uncover about Julian's supposed disappearance? Chloe whimpered for Catalina soon after she left, her small hand reaching out for the comfort that was no longer there. Her instant attachment to the kind maid deepened with every passing moment, leaving Ethan with a pang of unexpected jealousy. A fresh wave of guilt washed over him, realizing how little he could soothe his own daughter. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit, opulent office, far from the hospital, Julian watched a news report detailing Ethan's dramatic rescue. A sinister, knowing smile slowly played on his lips, devoid of any genuine warmth. "The game has just begun, Ethan," he whispered to the screen, his eyes gleaming with malicious intent. Marcus soon reported back, a palpable hint of unease in his voice. "Sir, an offshore account, inexplicably opened last year, in Julian's name, just surfaced. It is connected to a complex series of shell corporations." This discovery brought a new, unsettling dimension to Julian's supposed demise. As Ethan processed this profoundly unsettling news, a chilling, anonymous note mysteriously slid under his hospital room door. Its ominous message read, "You thought you escaped? This is merely a prelude to the symphony of your downfall." What further horrors did Julian orchestrate? And how could Ethan possibly protect his beloved daughter from such a relentless, shadowy enemy who seemed always one step ahead? Ethan, tormented by Julian's chilling note and Chloe's continued distress, realized his existing security measures were shockingly insufficient. His fortress-like mansion felt permeable, leaving him vulnerable, especially with Chloe still needing constant comfort that professional guards could not provide. A profound sense of helplessness washed over the powerful millionaire. Chloe, even in her recovery, still asked for Catalina, her small voice a constant, gentle reminder of the maid's calming presence in their darkest hour. This highlighted a significant void Ethan, with all his wealth and power, simply could not fill alone. Her yearning for Catalina was a silent reproach to his own emotional unavailability. "Daddy, I want Catalina," Chloe whispered one afternoon, her eyes welling up with fresh tears, a stark contrast to her usual guarded demeanor. Her plea, simple yet profound, pierced Ethan's heart, forcing him to confront a truth he had tried to ignore. He saw his daughter's deep need for genuine warmth. Ethan made a difficult, humbling decision. He would hire Catalina as Chloe's personal caregiver, offering a salary far exceeding her current cleaning job. He desperately hoped her unique, comforting presence would somehow heal his daughter's fractured spirit, a desperate measure from a man accustomed to having every solution. He called the junkyard, his voice betraying a hint of urgency, speaking directly with Gary. Gary, initially surprised by the unusual request, reluctantly gave him Catalina's contact information. "She's a good kid, Mr. Thorne," Gary remarked, a gruff sincerity in his tone. "But this ain't her usual line of work." Catalina, deeply surprised by Ethan's unexpected call and his generous offer, felt a wave of hesitant caution. She explained her current responsibilities to her family and her deep commitment to her faith and tight-knit community, which always came first in her humble life. "My family depends heavily on me, Mr. Thorne," she explained, her voice gentle but firm, rooted in conviction. "My cleaning work provides for us, and my Aunt Marisol truly needs my daily support, especially with her medical needs." Her resolve was clear, despite the life-changing proposal. Ethan, desperate and unyielding, then offered an even more generous salary, emphasizing Chloe's dire need for her unique comfort. He revealed a vulnerability he rarely showed, a crack in his formidable facade. But what secret burden did Catalina carry that made her hesitate so profoundly, despite the truly life-altering offer? After much earnest prayer and a thoughtful, heartfelt discussion with her wise Aunt Marisol, Catalina decided to accept Ethan's compelling offer. She saw it as a clear sign from God, a divine calling to help a family in need, completely unaware of the grave dangers that lay ahead in the millionaire's world. Julian, watching from afar through his vast network of surveillance, quickly learned of Catalina's new, pivotal position within Ethan's mansion. A cruel, knowing smile slowly spread across his face. A new pawn, he thought, had just unwittingly walked directly into his intricate, deadly game, unknowingly exposing herself to peril. What sinister role did Julian envision for this unsuspecting maid in his grand, malevolent scheme of revenge? Catalina moved into Ethan's luxurious mansion, a stark contrast to her humble home, where every corner whispered of immense wealth. She felt a mix of awe and a quiet determination to fulfill her new role, ensuring Chloe received the care she deserved. The polished floors and grand halls were overwhelming, yet she carried a sense of purpose. Chloe's joy was immediately evident upon Catalina's arrival. The little girl ran to Catalina, her small arms wrapping around the maid's leg in a tight embrace, a genuine, radiant smile returning to her face for the first time since the trauma. It was a pure, unadulterated happiness that touched Catalina deeply. "Thank you for being here, Catalina," Ethan said, a flicker of something akin to profound relief in his usually guarded eyes. He watched Chloe's immediate comfort in Catalina's arms, a sight that eased a tension he had unknowingly carried since the kidnapping. Her presence brought an unexpected peace. Catalina, with her gentle manner and unwavering steadfast faith, quickly brought a calming, nurturing presence to the chaotic household. Her quiet strength slowly began to melt the mansion's icy formality, infusing it with a warmth and sincerity it had long lacked, creating an unexpected sanctuary. One quiet evening, while reading Chloe a Bible story about courage and forgiveness, Catalina unknowingly piqued Ethan's interest. He paused, listening intently from the doorway, a distant, almost forgotten memory stirring faintly within him, a tender echo from a past he thought was buried forever. What profound memory was this? Julian, receiving detailed reports from Victor about Catalina's surprising arrival and Chloe's visibly improving state, intensified his relentless surveillance. He was convinced she was merely a temporary obstacle, a fleeting disruption in his meticulous plans. "Soon, she will see the stark truth of their superficial world," he muttered with a cold, calculating grin. Marcus, meanwhile, uncovered more intricate layers of Julian's cunning deception. He found irrefutable evidence of Julian's insidious manipulation deep within Ethan's own company, subtly diverting significant funds and sabotaging critical business deals. "It runs much deeper than we initially thought, sir," Marcus warned, his voice grave with the weight of his discovery. "He's not just after revenge for some past grievance. He wants to dismantle everything I've painstakingly built. Every single piece of my empire," Ethan realized, clutching the phone tightly. A cold, creeping dread washed over him as he understood the true, terrifying scale of Julian's ambition. Catalina, while helping Chloe with her homework in the nursery, unexpectedly discovered a hidden compartment in Chloe's favorite teddy bear. Inside, nestled carefully, was a small, faded photograph of Ethan's late wife, Sarah, smiling intimately with another man. Who was this mysterious man? And what secret connection did he have to Ethan's past that could shake the very foundations of his family, threatening everything? As Catalina pondered the unsettling photograph, a faint, deliberate tap sounded on Chloe's windowpane. She froze, listening. A fleeting shadow, swift and menacing, then disappeared into the deepening darkness outside. Was Julian already inside the supposedly secure mansion? Or was this a sinister warning meant specifically for her, an ominous message in the night? Catalina, startled by the tapping, cautiously approached Chloe's window, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. She peered through the glass, seeing only the swaying branches of a nearby tree, their shadows dancing ominously in the moonlit night. Yet, the unsettling feeling of being watched lingered, a cold premonition. She then carefully examined the photograph again, the faded image of Ethan's late wife, Sarah, smiling intimately with an unfamiliar man. His arm rested casually around her, a gesture of affection that sparked a deep, uncomfortable curiosity within Catalina about this hidden secret. The smiling faces held a painful, untold story. "Who is this man, Sarah?" Catalina whispered to the silent image, a sense of foreboding washing over her. She carefully tucked the photo away, her mind racing, unsure how to approach Ethan with such a delicate, potentially devastating discovery. The truth often brought more pain than comfort. Later, over breakfast, Ethan, usually consumed by his thoughts, noticed Catalina's subdued mood and the worried flicker in her eyes. "Is everything all right, Catalina? You seem troubled," he asked, a rare display of concern in his otherwise guarded demeanor. What worried Catalina more, the mysterious tap or the unsettling photo? Catalina, with a heavy heart and a prayer for strength, decided to show Ethan the photograph. She explained where she found it, her gaze fixed on his face, bracing herself for his reaction. The moment stretched, heavy with unspoken truths, as he finally took the small, faded picture from her hand. Ethan stared at the picture, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly, his expression shifting from initial surprise to a profound, unspoken pain. "That's my cousin, David," he said, his voice flat, devoid of emotion, yet his eyes held a deeper, more complex emotion, a mix of sadness and betrayal. He died shortly after Sarah. A thick tension hung in the air, heavy with unspoken history, as Ethan quickly changed the subject, dismissing the photo's importance with a wave of his hand. His abruptness left Catalina with more questions than answers, a clear signal of his reluctance to delve into the painful past. "Some memories are best left undisturbed, Catalina," Ethan stated, his voice now regaining its controlled tone, though his trembling hand, subtly hidden from her view, betrayed a deep, hidden vulnerability. It was a stark contrast to his usual powerful demeanor, revealing a man deeply wounded. Meanwhile, Marcus, relentlessly pursuing Julian's network, discovered old financial records. They showed large, unexplained transfers from Sarah's personal account to an offshore entity shortly before her death, which seemed to benefit Julian directly. What shocking betrayal was hidden in those transactions, and how did Sarah and David connect to Julian's intricate scheme? As Catalina walked through the mansion's quiet, echoing halls that evening, she overheard Ethan on the phone, his voice hushed and strained, discussing a desperate plan to sell a significant part of his company to cover unforeseen debts. Julian's name was then mentioned in a chilling whisper, sending a cold shiver down her spine. Was Ethan's empire truly crumbling? And was Julian forcing him to liquidate everything, perhaps even using Sarah's memory as a weapon in his cruel game? Ethan, after the disturbing phone call, paced his luxurious study, tormented by the mounting financial pressures and Julian's persistent, insidious threat. His carefully built empire, once a symbol of his control, now felt like a crumbling edifice, teetering precariously on the brink of collapse, exposed and vulnerable. "I cannot let him win, Marcus," Ethan said, his voice tight with a desperate resolve. He gripped his phone so hard his knuckles turned white. "We need to find out why Julian is so relentlessly targeting Sarah's assets. There's a deeper connection here." Catalina, hearing the palpable stress and raw anguish in Ethan's voice, felt a surge of profound empathy. She realized the immense weight of burdens he carried, extending far beyond the initial trauma of the kidnapping, a man suffocating under the pressure of his world. She approached Ethan cautiously, her presence a quiet comfort in the grand, silent room. "Mr. Thorne, perhaps talking about Sarah might truly help. Sometimes secrets, kept in the deep shadows of silence, only grow stronger and more painful." Her soft words offered a lifeline he hadn't realized he needed. Ethan, initially resistant to revisiting the painful past, slowly began to confide in Catalina. He revealed fragmented memories of his complicated relationship with David and Sarah, and the lingering, suffocating guilt he felt over their untimely deaths. It was a raw, vulnerable confession, revealing deep, unhealed wounds. "David and Sarah were very close, Catalina," Ethan admitted, his gaze distant, lost in the past. "Closer than I truly understood at the time. Their deaths devastated me utterly, and now, Julian is mercilessly exploiting that profound pain, turning it into a weapon against me." Meanwhile, Detective Davis, following a fresh lead provided by Gary, interviewed the junkyard's night guard once more. The guard, his memory jogged, recalled seeing a dark van with heavily tinted windows parked suspiciously near the entrance on the night of the kidnapping. An unusual and unsettling sight. "It was unusual, sir. Very out of place," the guard stated, his voice laced with a newfound certainty. "And I distinctly saw two men loading something into the trunk, but I honestly thought it was just scrap metal." What invaluable piece of information might the guard have unknowingly missed, hidden in plain sight, on that fateful night? Marcus, tirelessly investigating the offshore accounts, uncovered a complex web of illicit transactions. These intricate dealings disturbingly linked Julian directly to David's personal finances, predating both David's and Sarah's deaths. This shocking discovery suggested a long-standing, sinister conspiracy, far beyond a recent act of revenge. As Catalina tried to comfort Chloe with a gentle lullaby, she noticed a peculiar, almost imperceptible tremor in the child's small hands when she mentioned Uncle David, a subtle reaction that hinted at a deeper, unrevealed memory connected to David. Did Chloe unknowingly hold a key piece of the puzzle about her uncle's mysterious death? And could that fragile memory be critical to exposing Julian's entire malevolent scheme? Catalina watched Chloe's fear, a deep, silent terror that still haunted the child's small frame, even in the safety of the mansion. The maid's heart ached, sensing a trauma far beyond the kidnapping itself, knowing Chloe needed gentle guidance to unlock the memories she suppressed. "Chloe, my love, what scares you about Uncle David?" Catalina asked softly, her hand gently stroking Chloe's hair, her voice filled with a tender compassion. Chloe trembled, her small body stiffening, a visible wave of unease passing through her at the mention of the name. Chloe clung to Catalina, burying her face into the maid's side. "Loud voices. Uncle David was so mad at a bad man. Then he fell down," she whispered, her words fragmented but chillingly vivid, painting a disturbing image. What truth, terrifying and painful, was still hidden within these innocent recollections? Catalina, her heart aching for the child's burden, remembered Aunt Marisol's simple but profound teachings about the power of truth and faith. "Sometimes, my dear, telling what truly happened helps us feel brave, like a warrior for God, bringing light to the dark," she explained gently. Encouraged by Catalina's unwavering faith and gentle prodding, Chloe added more, her voice still a whisper. "The bad man laughed. He said, 'Now you'll pay for what you did.'" This new detail painted an even more sinister picture of David's final, desperate moments, adding a chilling layer to his death. Catalina immediately sought out Ethan, her expression grave with the weight of Chloe's fragile revelations. "Ethan, Chloe remembers something crucial about David's death," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "She said he argued fiercely with a bad man, and then, unexpectedly, fell." Ethan's face went rigid with shock, then disbelief. "David's death was ruled an aneurysm, Catalina, a natural cause from his severe stress. There was no bad man involved," he stated, his voice tight with denial, yet a flicker of doubt crossed his eyes. Could a 6-year-old's fragmented memory dismantle a meticulously crafted medical conclusion? Just then, Marcus called, revealing a crucial, unsettling detail. "Sir, I found something." The original police report on David's death mentioned a witness account of a heated argument between David and an unidentified individual shortly before his collapse, a detail inexplicably omitted from the final findings. "Julian," Ethan breathed, the name a venomous whisper escaping his lips, the horrifying pieces of a puzzle clicking brutally into place. His face hardened with a renewed, cold fury. "He didn't just sabotage my business. He was there, orchestrating everything when David died." The full extent of Julian's malice became terrifyingly clear. That night, a chilling message arrived at the mansion, breaching their supposedly heightened security. It was a single wilting white rose, Sarah's favorite flower, and a note in Julian's distinct, elegant script. It simply read, "Some truths are better left buried. Dig deeper, and you might find yourself joining them." Or, what dark connection did Sarah's rose signify? And how could Julian send such a personal, menacing threat directly into Ethan's home? Ethan, enraged and visibly terrified by the wilting rose and Julian's chilling personal note, immediately demanded that Marcus triple the mansion's already extensive security. His voice, usually calm and authoritative, now shook with a barely suppressed fury, a raw display of his mounting fear for his daughter. "He is playing a twisted, evil game, Marcus, trying to get inside my head, inside my very home," Ethan declared, his hand clutching the threatening note. The paper felt like a cold, phantom hand on his soul, reminding him of Julian's insidious reach and his promise of destruction. Catalina, witnessing Ethan's renewed and profound fear, instinctively offered words of comfort rooted deeply in her unwavering faith. Her voice was gentle but firm. "Ethan, remember that God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in every moment of trouble. We are not alone." Chloe, ever sensitive, sensed the renewed tension and subtle fear now permeating the grand house. She grew restless, her small eyes darting nervously around the room, drawing worried glances from both Ethan and Catalina. What unseen, sinister connections did Julian exploit to breach their defenses so easily, unsettling even the innocent child? Marcus's diligent investigation soon revealed a shocking, unsettling truth. An old, long unused service entrance, completely forgotten in the mansion's original blueprints, showed clear signs of recent, meticulous tampering. This discovery strongly suggested an insider's precise knowledge of the estate's hidden vulnerabilities. This means Julian has someone working for him directly inside, or someone with intimate knowledge gave him detailed layouts of the mansion, Marcus reported, his face grim and etched with concern. This alarming possibility raised immediate questions about everyone in Ethan's trusted, tight-knit inner circle. Ethan, now consumed by a gnawing paranoia, subtly questioned his most trusted staff members, trying to discern any hint of betrayal. But no one seemed outwardly suspicious, leaving him to distrust even his own judgment, a dangerous and isolating feeling for such a powerful man who valued loyalty above all. Catalina, while organizing some old, forgotten books in the vast, dusty library, found an old, leather-bound journal belonging to Sarah. It was hidden carefully in a forgotten drawer. The journal was filled with cryptic entries about a dark secret and a desperate deal with the devil to protect David. What forbidden, painful truth did Sarah hide within those faded, secret pages? One entry chillingly mentioned Julian's relentless grip and a desperate, heartfelt plea for forgiveness for my sins. This particular journal entry directly linked Julian to Sarah's hidden struggles, hinting at a much darker, long-standing past, a conspiracy far more intricate and personal than Ethan had ever imagined. Just as Catalina showed Ethan the damning journal, a large, ornate painting in the main hall suddenly crashed violently to the floor, shattering the silence. Behind it, a hidden, ancient safe, meticulously built into the solid stone wall, stood revealed. What did Julian truly want from this old safe? And what horrifying secret did it hold that could shatter Ethan's entire world, forever changing his understanding of his past? Ethan and Catalina stared intently at the hidden safe, its formidable, ancient presence, a jarring testament to untold family secrets buried deep within the mansion's very walls. The discovery sent a shiver down their spines, hinting at a past far more complex and dangerous than either had imagined. This safe. It was my grandfather's, Ethan murmured, his hand tentatively tracing the cold, unyielding metal. I never knew it existed. What did Sarah possibly hide in there that required such elaborate concealment? His voice was laced with a mixture of profound shock and a dawning, unsettling curiosity. Marcus, summoned immediately to the library, worked diligently and methodically to open the ancient safe. The tension in the room was palpable, almost suffocating, as each faint click of the tumblers echoed loudly, punctuating the silence, building agonizing suspense with every passing second. Inside, they found not the expected gold or glittering jewels, but a single, thick, heavy envelope. It was filled to the brim with crucial documents. Sarah's last will and testament, a detailed, heart-wrenching confession from David, and a series of personal, revealing letters addressed directly to Ethan. David's confession revealed a horrifying, painful truth that shattered Ethan's understanding of the past. He was deeply and irrevocably in debt to Julian, who mercilessly used this leverage to spy on Ethan's family and manipulate Sarah, threatening to expose David's ruinous gambling addiction if she didn't cooperate. Julian coerced Sarah into transferring significant funds. Ethan read aloud, his voice trembling uncontrollably, the words burning with a bitter realization. He meticulously made it look like she was betraying me, but it was all a desperate, tragic attempt to protect David from his own utter ruin. Sarah's letters, filled with a profound regret, expressed her deep fear of Julian and a desperate, heartbreaking plea for Ethan's forgiveness. She revealed that she tried repeatedly to warn him of the dangers, but Julian had ruthlessly silenced her. My dearest Ethan, forgive my agonizing silence. Julian has us trapped in his cruel web. A crushing wave of unimaginable guilt washed over Ethan, leaving him breathless and reeling. I was too focused on my work, too proud to truly see her pain, too utterly blind to the darkness surrounding us, he whispered, his eyes brimming with hot tears of sorrow and regret. But was this full, devastating confession truly the entire agonizing story? Or were there still more layers to Julian's sinister plot? Chloe, drawn by the sudden commotion and the hushed, urgent voices, stood silently in the doorway. Her small face was filled with a mix of fear and confusion, as she observed her father's profound anguish and Catalina's comforting, steady presence, unknowingly absorbing the immense weight of their family's tragic, unfolding history. Suddenly, the mansion's elaborate power system flickered violently, then plunged the entire house into an absolute suffocating darkness. This was immediately followed by the distant, terrifying sound of breaking glass from downstairs, a chilling symphony of invasion. Had Julian anticipated their discovery of the safe's contents? And was he now launching a direct, brutal assault on the mansion to silence them forever, eliminating all witnesses? Panic erupted as the mansion plunged into absolute suffocating darkness, a sudden, terrifying void. This immediate blackout was followed swiftly by the sickening sound of smashing glass echoing loudly from downstairs, a chilling confirmation that their worst fears had just materialized within their own home. "Julian!" Ethan roared, his voice filled with raw fury and a renewed primal determination to protect his daughter and Catalina from the lurking danger. "He is finally here! He has breached our defenses!" His declaration cut through the darkness, laced with a mix of dread and fierce resolve. Marcus, reacting instantly, moved to secure Ethan, Catalina, and Chloe, pulling them urgently towards a hidden panic room, a desperate sanctuary. However, the path through the now pitch-black mansion was fraught with unseen dangers, every step uncertain and potentially deadly as they navigated the labyrinthine hallways. "Stay close to me, Chloe. Don't let go," Catalina whispered, clutching the terrified child tightly, her own heart pounding wildly in her chest. Yet amidst the rising chaos, her unwavering faith remained a steady, comforting beacon, a silent prayer forming on her lips for divine protection. The ominous sounds of heavy, deliberate boots echoed from the lower floors, growing alarmingly closer with each passing second. This grim sound indicated that Victor and other ruthless thugs were systematically searching the mansion, their presence a palpable threat looming just below them, closing in. They knew about the safe. They knew we would find the damning documents, Ethan realized, his mind racing frantically, understanding Julian's calculated, insidious moves. A cold dread settled over him. But how could Julian possibly know every single step they would take, every secret they would uncover? As they desperately neared the supposed safety of the panic room, a shadowy figure suddenly lunged from the oppressive darkness. It was Victor, his eyes glinting with cold, predatory menace, effectively blocking their only escape route, a grim reaper in their path, cutting off all hope. "Going somewhere so quickly," Victor sneered, a wicked, cruel grin spreading slowly across his face, clearly relishing their terror and helplessness. His voice, guttural and menacing, filled the suffocating darkness, mocking their desperate, futile attempt at escape. Ethan, fueled by a surge of pure adrenaline and a father's protective instinct, lunged violently at Victor, engaging him in a desperate, brutal struggle. Every blow he landed, every second he fought, bought precious, fleeting moments for Catalina and Chloe to escape the immediate danger. "Run, Catalina! Take Chloe and hide!" Ethan yelled, his voice strained and raw with the effort, as Victor, with brutal efficiency, landed a devastating blow, sending him sprawling painfully to the ground. How could Catalina, a simple maid, protect Chloe from such overwhelming, immediate danger? And could Ethan possibly survive this direct confrontation with Julian's brutal, relentless henchman? Catalina instinctively grabbed Chloe's small hand and, ignoring Ethan's desperate struggle with Victor, fled towards a pre-identified escape route. Pure, adrenaline-fueled instinct and a silent prayer for divine guidance propelled her forward through the suffocating darkness of the mansion. The sounds of the brutal struggle intensified horrifyingly behind them, echoing through the vast, dark halls. They ran through the opulent, now terrifying labyrinthine hallways, every step fraught with the unknown, the mansion transformed into a deadly maze by Julian's invasion. "Where are we going, Catalina?" Chloe whimpered, her voice tiny and full of terror, clinging tightly to the maid's hand. Catalina quietly reassured her with soothing words of unwavering faith, reminding her, "God is with us, little one. We must trust him." Suddenly, a shadowy figure, another of Julian's menacing men, materialized from the darkness, blocking their path. His heavy, imposing form loomed menacingly in the dim light, and Catalina knew with a sinking heart that a direct confrontation was now completely unavoidable, their escape route cut off. "Get back!" Catalina yelled, her voice surprisingly strong. She instinctively pushed Chloe behind her, and in a moment of desperate inspiration, grabbed a heavy antique vase from a nearby pedestal, swinging it wildly with all her might, hoping for a miracle. The ornate vase shattered violently against the thug's arm, buying them a precious few seconds of reprieve, yet the man merely roared in pain and fury. He recovered quickly, his anger reignited, his eyes fixed on them with renewed, dangerous intent, his pursuit relentless. Meanwhile, Ethan, battered and bleeding but unyielding in his resolve, managed to land a solid, desperate blow on Victor, momentarily gaining the upper hand. He fought with a fierce, primal strength, fueled by the thought of Chloe and Sarah, roaring, "You won't touch my daughter!" Catalina and Chloe stumbled blindly into an old, dusty storage room. With frantic urgency, Catalina pushed heavy boxes against the door, barricading it just as the thug reached them, the sounds of his attempts to break in chillingly close. What desperate, improbable plan could Catalina devise from this confined, suffocating space? From their precarious hiding spot, Catalina clearly overheard Julian's voice, distorted but undeniably clear, through a walkie-talkie carried by the thug outside their door. "Find them! The girl is paramount!" Julian was commanding the assault, a chilling confirmation that he was still orchestrating everything from within the mansion. Just as the storage room door began to splinter under the relentless assault, Catalina spotted a small, rusted grate, barely visible high on the wall, almost hidden in the darkness. It was too high for her to reach alone, but then she remembered Chloe's faint words about Uncle David's secret passage. Was this David's secret escape, and could it be their only hope, or a new, terrifying trap set by Julian? Catalina, remembering Chloe's faint, innocent words about Uncle David's secret passage, desperately looked around the storage room for anything to reach the high, rusted grate. Her heart pounded, a frantic rhythm against her ribs, as the sounds of the thugs grew closer, echoing ominously. "Chloe, my love, can you tell me more about Uncle David's special place?" Catalina asked softly, her voice calm despite her inner turmoil, trying to evoke a forgotten memory that might save their lives from the looming threat. Chloe looked up, her eyes wide. Chloe, though still terribly scared, pointed a small, trembling finger towards a rickety stack of old crates precariously piled in the corner. "He used to climb there. It was his secret," she whispered, a glimmer of the past in her eyes. A fragile map to their escape. Catalina, with a surge of renewed hope and desperate determination, began to stack the heavy, dusty crates, her muscles strained with the effort, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she created a precarious, wobbly ladder to reach the high grate. "We have to be brave, like David was, my sweet," she murmured, a silent prayer forming on her lips for divine strength. Meanwhile, downstairs, Ethan, battered and bleeding but unyielding in his resolve, continued his fierce, desperate struggle with Victor. Every blow he landed, every ounce of strength he mustered, bought precious, fleeting seconds for Catalina and Chloe, a father's sacrifice echoing through the mansion. "You'll never get her, you monster!" Ethan growled, dodging a wild, brutal punch from Victor, his eyes burning with a primal protective rage. He fought not for himself, but for the innocent lives he desperately tried to protect from Julian's cruel grip. As Catalina finally reached the high grate, her fingers brushing against the cold, rusted metal, she noticed a small, intricately carved symbol, the exact same one Ethan had seen in the car trunk, etched into its surface. This was undeniably David's secret, directly connected to Julian's sinister plot. With immense, agonizing effort, Catalina managed to force the stubborn grate open, the creaking sound loud in the enclosed space. Behind it, a narrow, dark, and incredibly dusty tunnel stretched into the unknown. "This way, Chloe," she urged, her voice tight, guiding the terrified child into the suffocating passage. They crawled through the cramped, suffocating darkness, the air thick with dust and the smell of aged stone. Catalina continuously whispered words of encouragement and unwavering faith to Chloe, who clung to her, shivering uncontrollably, her small body shaking with a profound, innocent terror. Suddenly, a muffled shout and a heavy, ominous thump echoed from the storage room they had just left behind. Victor and his men had finally breached the barricaded door. Had they discovered the open grate, and were they already in relentless pursuit through the hidden, claustrophobic passage, closing in on their fragile escape? Catalina and Chloe pressed forward through the narrow, suffocating tunnel, the muffled sounds of their relentless pursuers growing alarmingly close behind them. Every rustle and distant shout echoed ominously, urging them onward, their hearts pounding in unison, desperate for an escape. "Faster, Chloe! We're almost there, I promise!" Catalina urged, her voice tight with strain, pushing the child gently ahead. She knew their lives depended on every precious second gained, every inch crawled through the dusty, dark passage. Surrender was not an option. The tunnel suddenly opened into a small, dusty room, completely filled with cleaning supplies and old, forgotten equipment. This was the janitor's hidden entrance, perfectly camouflaged and expertly concealed, a secret passage known only to a trusted few. It was a beacon of unexpected hope. This is it! David must have used this to sneak out of the mansion unnoticed, Catalina realized. A new, vital piece of the intricate puzzle finally falling into place. He probably knew Julian was watching the main entrances, so he made his own secret escape. Meanwhile, Ethan, severely wounded and bleeding but still fighting with fierce determination, managed to incapacitate Victor with a desperate final surge of strength. Just as Victor collapsed, Marcus burst into the grand hall with Detective Davis and a team of armed police officers. "Ethan, are you all right, man?" Marcus exclaimed, rushing immediately to his boss's side, his face etched with worry. He saw the blood and the profound exhaustion etched on Ethan's face, a testament to the brutal fight. Detective Davis immediately secured the groaning Victor, who lay defeated on the ornate marble floor. "Where is Julian, you thug?" Davis demanded, his voice sharp and authoritative. But Victor remained stubbornly silent, his eyes holding a dark, defiant malice. Catalina and Chloe cautiously emerged from the janitor's entrance, blinking in the sudden, welcome sunlight. They found themselves in a secluded, overgrown garden, carefully hidden from the main house, a temporary haven from the chaos they had just escaped. Just as they breathed a collective sigh of profound relief, a familiar, ominous silhouette appeared at the very edge of the garden. It was Julian, flanked by more of his menacing men, his eyes fixed with chilling intensity on Chloe. His presence shattered their fleeting moment of peace. "Well, well, the little bird has flown her cage," Julian sneered, a cruel, cold smile spreading across his face. "But you can't escape me, Catalina. And the child, she's mine." What dark, unknown connection did Chloe have to Julian that made her so invaluable, so utterly paramount to his sinister plans? Catalina instinctively shielded Chloe as Julian advanced, his menacing presence radiating an icy malevolence. His ominous claim over the innocent child echoed with chilling clarity, striking fear deep into Catalina's heart, a cold premonition of the battle ahead. She knew with every fiber of her being that this man's intentions were utterly dark. "She carries Sarah's precious blood, a legacy I will reclaim, a fortune that is rightfully mine," Julian hissed, his eyes fixed with a possessive, predatory glint on Chloe's small, trembling form. "Ethan ruined her, betrayed her, and now her daughter belongs solely to me. A fair, just trade for all my suffering. No, God will fiercely protect her from your evil intentions," Catalina declared, her voice trembling slightly, but firm with unwavering righteous anger. She clutched Chloe even tighter to her chest, her faith a shield against the encroaching darkness, absolutely refusing to surrender the innocent child to such cruelty. Just then, Ethan, severely wounded but supported by a resolute Marcus, burst into the garden, his face a mask of pain and fury. Detective Davis and more armed officers followed close behind, creating a sudden whirlwind of intense activity. A wave of profound relief, mixed with renewed burning fury, washed over Ethan. "Julian, it's finally over for you! Your evil game ends now!" Ethan roared, his voice hoarse with the raw exertion of his fight, pointing a defiant, trembling finger at his adversary. But Julian merely smiled, completely unfazed by the sudden appearance of the authorities. "Is it truly over, Ethan? The game, my friend, has merely just begun." Julian, seeing the police now closing in from all sides, maliciously pointed a long, accusing finger directly at Chloe. "She knows far more than you think, Ethan. Ask her, if you dare, about her real father's debt to me," he sneered, dropping a new, insidious bombshell designed to wound Ethan deeply. Chloe flinched violently, her small body recoiling from Julian's cruel, unsettling words, burying her face deeper into Catalina's comforting side. A tiny, almost imperceptible whimper escaped her lips, as Julian's unsettling pronouncement seemed to strike a chord of forgotten, deeply buried fear within her innocent, fragile memory. As the police moved decisively to surround them, Julian's men, swift and coordinated in their actions, suddenly created a powerful, blinding diversion. They threw dense smoke bombs into the garden, allowing Julian to melt effortlessly into the sudden chaos, his chilling, triumphant laughter echoing ominously in the suffocating confusion. Detective Davis, exasperated and frustrated by the sudden turn of events, immediately ordered a comprehensive perimeter search. But Julian and his remaining men had vanished completely, leaving behind only the lingering, acrid smoke and a palpable, heavy sense of defeat hanging in the air. Their cunning escape was successful. As the smoke slowly cleared, Ethan finally collapsed from his debilitating wounds and overwhelming emotional exhaustion. Catalina knelt quickly beside him, her gentle hands comforting both him and a bewildered Chloe. Chloe, looking up at Catalina with wide, innocent eyes, then whispered, "He said, 'My real father.' What did he mean by that, Catalina?" Chloe's innocent question about her real father pierced Ethan's already wounded heart, leaving him utterly stunned and profoundly heartbroken amidst the lingering chaos of the garden. The words, uttered by his beloved daughter, felt like a betrayal cutting deeper than any financial loss Julian had inflicted, shattering his perception of his family. "What did Julian mean, Daddy?" Chloe asked again, her young eyes wide with pure confusion, looking between Ethan and Catalina, desperately seeking an answer to the unsettling, malicious words that still hung heavy in the air. Her small hand instinctively reached for Ethan's, seeking reassurance from her protector. Catalina knelt quickly beside Chloe, her voice gentle but firm with conviction. "Julian said terrible things, Chloe, because he is a cruel man whose heart is filled with darkness. But remember, God knows the true path, and he knows the truth in all things. We must trust in his divine plan." Ethan, slowly recovering from the initial shock of Julian's cruel insinuation, fiercely reassured Chloe with a renewed determination. "You are my daughter, Chloe, my precious child. Nothing Julian says changes that profound truth. Not one single thing," he declared, though a painful seed of doubt had undeniably been planted deep within his own mind. Marcus, overhearing Julian's disturbing remark about Chloe's parentage, immediately began to investigate the possibility. He meticulously reviewed Sarah's past medical records and Ethan's own complex family history. "Sir, if there's any truth to this shocking claim, we must uncover it now," he stated, his voice tight with concern. Ethan, seeking answers, found a hidden compartment in Sarah's old photo album, carefully tucked away for years. Inside, he discovered a collection of faded, intimate letters exchanged between Sarah and David. They revealed a much deeper, more intense relationship than he had ever suspected, betraying a hidden affair. "My love, our secret will be safe," one letter cryptically began. Catalina later found Ethan in the expansive study, surrounded by the incriminating letters, his face pale and utterly shattered by the devastating revelations. "Catalina," he whispered, his voice barely audible, holding up a letter with a trembling hand. "I fear Julian wasn't entirely lying about the parentage. There is a deep, painful truth here. What do they reveal, Ethan? What secrets were buried so deeply?" Catalina asked, her heart aching with profound sympathy for him. She sensed a betrayal so profound it threatened to unravel the very fabric of his past, a truth she knew would leave permanent scars. The letters confirmed a secret, passionate affair between Sarah and David, one that had blossomed years before Ethan and Sarah's marriage. The correspondence ended with a cryptic promise from Sarah to protect their child, no matter what dark sacrifices she had to make, hinting at a hidden legacy. As Ethan grappled with this devastating news, his world crumbling around him, Marcus called back, his voice grim and resolute. "Sir, I found an old, undisclosed paternity test request from Sarah, dated shortly after Chloe's birth. The results were never officially registered, but the doctor's name on the request, he was Julian's personal physician. It appears this was all part of his long-term plan." Ethan, confronted with the agonizing, crushing possibility that Chloe might not be his biological daughter, felt his world shatter for a second, devastating time. It was a profound betrayal, cutting deeper into his heart than any financial loss Julian had inflicted, leaving him reeling in a storm of grief and confusion. Catalina, seeing his profound, raw pain, sat silently beside him, offering quiet support. She gently reminded him of God's unconditional, boundless love, a balm for his wounded soul. "Love, Ethan, is not measured by mere blood, but by the true, unwavering devotion of the heart," she whispered softly. "How could Sarah, how could David betray me so utterly?" Ethan whispered, his voice thick with a choking mix of anger, overwhelming grief, and agonizing confusion. Was everything we had, every memory, every moment, truly a calculated lie, a cruel charade? Chloe, blissfully unaware of the emotional storm swirling around her parentage, drew a simple picture of her family: Ethan, herself, and Catalina, all holding hands, smiling. This innocent act, a child's plea for stability and love, tugged fiercely at Ethan's heart, reinforcing his unwavering love for her. Marcus, grim-faced, confirmed Ethan's worst fears. The paternity test request was indeed legitimate. The physician involved had a documented history of questionable ethics, strongly hinting at a potential cover-up, meticulously orchestrated by Julian to conceal Chloe's true parentage, a sinister long-term plan. "Sir, it seems Julian meticulously manipulated the entire situation," Marcus stated, his voice heavy with the gravity of his discovery. "He likely did this to gain insidious leverage over Sarah and David, even before your marriage, pulling the strings from the shadows." The full extent of Julian's long-term plan became chillingly clear. Ethan's initial, overwhelming anger slowly began to shift, transforming into a deeper, more resolute determination. "She is my daughter, regardless of any biological connection. My profound love for her has not changed, not one single bit," he declared, his voice firm, choosing love and unwavering commitment over bitterness. But a new, insidious threat immediately emerged. Julian, with cunning malice, began to publicly circulate doctored documents, falsely implying Ethan was an unfit, negligent father. He ruthlessly used Chloe's true parentage to discredit Ethan, demanding full custody, citing Sarah's original, manipulated debt to him. "He wants to destroy my reputation and take Chloe away from me, Marcus," Ethan realized, his voice steely with a new resolve, his eyes burning with a fierce, protective fire. He finally understood the full, calculated cruelty of Julian's intricate game. "He is weaponizing lies to rip my family apart." Just as Ethan resolved to fight for Chloe with every fiber of his being, a shocking subpoena arrived, demanding his immediate presence in court for an emergency custody hearing, maliciously initiated by Julian. The agonizing, brutal battle for his daughter's future was about to begin. Could Ethan, amidst all the devastating lies and betrayals, prove his unwavering love and devotion in the eyes of the law, and more importantly, in the eyes of God? The emergency custody hearing began, the courtroom buzzing with an unsettling tension. Julian, with an air of calculated self-righteousness, presented himself as a deeply concerned relative, wielding the doctored documents and the manipulated paternity test request as potent, insidious weapons against Ethan. Ethan Thorne is an absent, negligent father, consumed solely by his vast empire, utterly oblivious to his late wife's hidden secrets, and thus a profound danger to this innocent child, Julian declared dramatically, painting a damning false picture of Ethan's character. His words, delivered with a chilling conviction, resonated with a malicious intent. Ethan, though deeply hurt and visibly shaken by the public accusations, stood firm, his gaze unwavering. "Chloe is my daughter in every way that truly matters," he declared, his voice clear and resolute. "She is mine by profound love and unwavering commitment, not just by mere blood." Catalina, present in the courtroom as Chloe's personal caregiver, observed the cold, calculated cruelty that glinted unmistakably in Julian's eyes. This chilling perception strengthened her resolve to support Ethan and Chloe, fortifying her belief in the justice they deserved, even in the face of such overwhelming malice. Detective Davis, called to the stand as a crucial witness, meticulously presented compelling evidence of Julian's extensive, shadowy criminal activities. His testimony included irrefutable proof of the recent kidnapping and the cunning manipulation of Sarah's valuable assets, directly implicating Julian in the long-term conspiracy. Julian's true motive is nothing but cruel revenge and immense financial gain, not Chloe's genuine welfare, Your Honor, Davis testified, his voice firm and unwavering. However, Julian's slick lawyer quickly dismissed the evidence as a mere distraction, attempting to divert attention from Ethan's alleged manipulative failings. The court, seemingly swayed by Julian's manipulative portrayal of Ethan's past neglect and Sarah's devastating betrayal, considered granting temporary custody of Chloe to Julian. This was a horrifying, unthinkable prospect for Ethan, a cruel twist that threatened to tear his family apart forever, leaving him helpless. Your Honor, my client, Ethan Thorne, has been a constant, unwavering presence in Chloe's life, even saving her from the very man who now so cruelly claims her. Ethan's skilled lawyer argued, his voice tinged with desperation, trying to counter Julian's insidious narrative with irrefutable truth and genuine emotion. Julian, with a triumphant smirk spreading across his face, then produced a final, devastating piece of evidence. It was a notarized document, seemingly signed by Sarah herself, explicitly entrusting Chloe's care to him should anything unforeseen happen to her. What other dark secrets had Sarah been tragically forced to keep? And was this document truly her free will, or Julian's final cruel manipulation from beyond the grave? Just as the judge meticulously prepared to make a final ruling, the silence in the courtroom was broken. Catalina, overcome by a sudden, powerful divine inspiration, rose to her feet, her heart pounding with a quiet but fierce determination. What powerful, unexpected truth would Catalina, the humble maid, now reveal that could shatter Julian's carefully constructed web of lies and miraculously change the entire course of the devastating hearing? Catalina, guided by a quiet, unshakable conviction, rose gracefully in the tense courtroom. Her heart pounded, but her spirit was calm as she humbly requested to address the judge, her voice steady despite the intense, sudden scrutiny from every corner of the room. Julian scoffed loudly, a sneer twisting his features into a mask of contempt. "Your Honor, what could a mere maid, an uneducated servant, possibly contribute to such a complex and delicate legal matter?" he questioned, attempting to discredit her before she uttered a single meaningful word. "I have personally witnessed Chloe's profound fear, her remarkable healing, and the pure, unconditional love Ethan has shown her since the rescue," Catalina stated, her voice resonating with an undeniable sincerity that silenced the room. "God calls us to protect the innocent, and Chloe desperately needs her true father's love, not this man's calculated cruelty." She then revealed a crucial piece of information. Her wise Aunt Marisol had once spoken with Sarah, who, in her deep fear of Julian, hinted at a desperate hidden plan to protect Chloe from his insidious schemes. Sarah, she explained, had entrusted David with crucial information, meant for Ethan. Sarah wanted Ethan to know the truth, but she was trapped. Catalina presented a small, handmade cross pendant, found carefully hidden on Chloe's person, a precious gift from Sarah. Inside, a tiny, almost invisible inscription read, "Trust the Maid. David's deal, October 25th. The date and message, though cryptic, were a powerful, undeniable clue. Ethan gasped, recognizing the pendant instantly. "Sarah never took that off. Not once," he exclaimed, his voice filled with a sudden, chilling realization. The date, October 25th, resonated with the day David had supposedly died of an aneurysm, igniting a horrifying new truth about David's death. Julian's carefully composed facade utterly shattered. "That's impossible. That worthless trinket was supposed to be destroyed, along with all other evidence," he roared, his voice betraying his intimate knowledge of the pendant and its devastating significance, revealing his deep involvement in the conspiracy. Marcus, acting quickly on this explosive revelation, immediately connected the date, October 25th, to the forged custody document Julian had presented. "Your Honor, the notary on that document was an employee of one of Julian's shell companies, and the date directly matches a period of extreme duress for Sarah, meticulously manipulated by Julian himself." Chloe, seeing the small cross pendant and hearing the significant date, suddenly spoke, her small voice clear and strong amidst the courtroom's tension. "Uncle David gave it to me. He said, 'Tell Daddy, Julian is watching.'" The bad man in her memory and the mysterious symbol now had a terrifying name. The judge, deeply moved by the child's testimony and presented with overwhelming, irrefutable evidence, immediately ordered Julian's arrest. But as Julian was led away in handcuffs, he locked eyes with Catalina and Chloe, a chilling, venomous promise of future revenge burning in his gaze. "You think you've won? There are still pieces on the board, and you will both pay the ultimate price." The courtroom erupted in a wave of relieved applause as Julian, his face contorted in a final snarl of defiance, was led away in handcuffs. His chilling threats now seemed empty, a desperate echo in the sudden silence. Ethan, Catalina, and Chloe stood in a stunned, profound relief, the weight of their ordeal finally lifting. "Custody of Chloe Thorne is hereby granted solely to Mr. Ethan Thorne," the judge declared, his voice resonating with firm authority. This final verdict secured Chloe's future with the father who truly loved her, dispelling Julian's dark shadows and solidifying their bond forever. A collective sigh of relief swept through the room. Ethan embraced Chloe tightly, tears streaming freely down his face, a raw, powerful display of overwhelming love and profound relief. He finally accepted her, unconditionally, as his precious daughter, irrespective of any biological ties. "You are my everything, Chloe, always and forever," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Marcus, moving swiftly, quickly gathered further irrefutable evidence against Julian, including a full, damning confession from Victor, who, broken and defeated, finally cooperated. This crucial information led to the complete dismantling of Julian's vast criminal network and the successful recovery of all of Ethan's stolen assets. Julian, now a prisoner behind cold steel bars, sent one final chilling message from his cell. "This isn't truly over, Ethan. My wicked legacy will outlive yours, always haunting you." But his words now held no power, only a desperate, futile malice that could no longer touch their lives. Ethan, no longer driven by the crushing weight of pride or the bitter desire for revenge, felt a profound, transformative shift within his very soul. His focus irrevocably turned from the pursuit of immense wealth to the genuine love and the steadfast faith Catalina had so gently awakened in his wounded heart. "Catalina, you taught me what true, everlasting wealth genuinely means," he confessed. He began to openly discuss his newfound faith with Catalina, seeking her gentle guidance and wisdom in his spiritual journey. Slowly, deliberately, he started dedicating his vast resources to numerous charitable causes, embracing a life of selfless service and profound humility. God truly works in mysterious, wonderful ways, changing hearts, he realized, filled with grace. Their quiet relationship blossomed beautifully, a tender romance built on shared values, deep understanding, and mutual respect. Ethan, overcome with love, proposed to Catalina, not with extravagant diamonds, but with a simple, heartfelt promise of a life filled with abiding love and God's abundant grace. Catalina, will you be my wife and Chloe's loving mother in the eyes of God and man? Chloe, fully healed from her harrowing trauma, thrived remarkably under the boundless, loving care of both Ethan and Catalina. Her joyful laughter now filled the mansion that had once echoed with a chilling silence, truly a radiant symbol of their renewed, strong family, built on love and faith. We are a family, Daddy and Catalina, the best family ever. Years passed peacefully, and the Thorne family, now beautifully united by unwavering love, profound faith, and a shared purpose, lived a life truly rich in meaning. They continued to honor God daily by selflessly helping countless others. Their inspiring story a living testament to unexpected grace and the profound power of transformative, unconditional love. If you followed along to the end, please give the video a like, write in the comments what you thought of the story's outcome, and take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Stay with me and watch the next video on the card appearing here on the screen. I'll see you in our channel's next story.